I want to address the Kyle Rittenhouse case and about the shooting incident that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It looks to me like that he has a fairly good self-defense case, even though the local prosecutor has now charged him with first-degree homicide, intentional homicide, and also reckless homicide. And I think that in the connection of the shooting of three people and some other charges as well. But the videos on here don't really provide a viewpoint that he is the aggressor in this at all. It looks like he's being chased by a crowd and attacked. Now, to point out that obviously, I would have to say this is a little bit of a premise here, that I that he shouldn't have been there in the first place. As a 17-year-old running around with a rifle and out of state in a riot, trying to do good and restore order. I mean, it sounds like youth exuberance truly run amok here. I mean, and there's a variety of legal issues. He also faces a firearms charge, and being underage, they probably have got him on that one. I'm not sure the exact technicalities, but as I understand that in his home state, there could even be a charge there potentially. But certainly, so that may be, but that's kind of minor compared to the homicide charges, I think, in the long run. And I think it's completely irrelevant to a self-defense case, actually. So those are two separate issues. But the two shootings we actually see clearly on video, it clearly seems to me he's being attacked by a mob who, who knows what they would have done to him, but certainly given him a very critical beating at a minimum, taken his rifle away from him and done who knows what. So the other person who shot was actually drawing a handgun on him when he got hit in the arm. So I think in that case, you have a self-defense case. A little murkier is going to be which is the first-degree homicide charge involving the 36-year-old individual near a car dealership. And I don't know if I've seen any video of that incident. So, and so that's probably where the case will rest a little bit more on how that went down, and that will set the context of everybody else's action in the event. I mean, for instance, if he was being attacked by the 36-year-old and in self-defense, was the 36-year-old armed in any way? What was he doing? What was Kyle doing? That'll be a factor, I'm sure, in the trial. But the fact is that apparently he has got legal representation now. I guess two lawyers have stepped up to defend him, and there's an extradition hearing being set for September the 25th back in Illinois, where she went back to Illinois after the incident. So, and that will delay proceedings for a while, and I think it also will let the defense team develop some evidence in the meantime, which could be helpful for his defense, of course. And but of course, the extradition hearing is more or less perfunctory. There's almost no chance that extradition will be denied, and I suspect that, as always in these cases, the prosecutors always sort of have this attitude that when somebody takes initiative in a situation like that, they want to come down them harder than anybody else, even a regular actual criminal, because they just, well, for one thing, there's always the fear of anarchy, although the condition in which this incident occurred was a condition of anarchy. So, but it could get more anarchical if people said, well, law enforcement isn't doing their job, and we're going to all get out there with our own weapons and take these people on. And of course, that hasn't happened yet in any meaningful way, with the exception of this Kyle Rittenhouse individual. Although there were other people patrolling around, but apparently, it didn't spin out of control in their case. Again, I don't necessarily recommend this, but I would say this about people that want to defund the police. You guys aren't going to get free reign to do whatever you want if the police aren't there to stop the law-abiding people otherwise, by normal standards, from reacting to it. I mean, really, the violent protesters, if you want to call them that, rioters, are given a lot of protection by law enforcement because they effectively deter anybody in the general population from taking action, except maybe in final self-defense if they were personally being attacked. And of course, that lets these other people go wild. And since the law enforcement's under strict rules about how they engage these people in order to protect their safety, in quotes, obviously that lets them do a lot of mayhem that wouldn't be allowed. I mean, in the olden days, you know, back in the Civil War riots that occurred in New York, if you saw the movie Gangs of New York, things were handled in a little different way, and these things didn't continue to be perpetuated. But we're in a more humane period for the moment. So, but at any rate, I wish I really would kind of like to see Rittenhouse win his case on self-defense, if nothing else, just to kind of send a message to all the rioters that you can't get by with this forever. This may not be strictly justice, but on the other hand, you know, blinding 3 federal officers in Portland with a laser wasn't justice either. The people who were killed in the zone in Seattle, that wasn't justice either. This is anarchical, but I think that does show that there can be pushback here. I don't recommend anybody do it, however, because, like I say, you will find yourself prosecuted, just like Mr. Rittenhouse is finding himself prosecuted. On the other hand, if you're actually directly attacked in your own residence or place of business, then self-defense is a right, and it depends on the state laws. And apparently, actually, there are, I think that the previous administrations had passed some good self-defense laws in Wisconsin, so that may also, you know, merit his case a little bit. Also, I'd like to point out another incident that just occurred was the Antifa-style attack on Senator Rand Paul and his wife while leaving the convention speech last night. It just goes to show how out of control this process is nationwide. And I think that we really need to have more serious investigations into who is organizing all these efforts. I mean, for instance, even in Kenosha, people were just arrested coming in from out of state with all sorts of incendiary devices and so forth to participate in a riot. I mean, who is coordinating all this? I think the question is it being coordinated, and can financiers and so forth be found culpable for it? I hope they can be. And so that's basically what I have today on this subject. And so if you like these videos, like and subscribe. You could forward them on to other people as well, if they'd be interested in seeing them. And that will be it for now. Also, you can look for my Twitter address in the details below.